I am convinced Tite Kubo is watching my reviews. How do I know this? Because the title of this week's chapter is Bleach Chapter 558, The Wolf's Heart. That sounds kind of familiar. I wonder where I have heard that. Oh, wait, it was the title of my Bleach 556 review. Kinda, sorta. You know, you can go watch that, by the way, because it's pretty cool. I dance in it, you know, because I called that shit. But the funny thing is, that was also a video where I called something that Kubo did. So I'm convinced he's watching my vids, and he just, you know, he's like, oh, okay, this guy either has really good ideas, and I'm going to incorporate them into Bleach. No one will notice. That's just some white American kid. No one cares about this guy's opinion. But I'm onto you, man. I'm onto you. I mean, I'm just saying I would like to see some money from this. I mean, we need some serious funds on this show. Have you watched this show? Camera quality, shit. Backdrop is just a bunch of printed out pictures. I freaking thumbtack them to a fucking sheet, for God's sakes. I want some green screen up in here. I want special guest stars. I want expensive cakes for some reason, just to enjoy off camera. I need some money, Kubo! A freaking bigger studio too, get some lighting equipment in here, like a boom mic, that'd be great. Oh yeah, I'm still going on about this. Alright, hey everybody, Tekking101 here to review Bleach chapter number 558, entitled I Called It. So, chapter starts off with a color page of Sajin in his younger years, which is he's probably the character out of the entire Gotei 13. No, actually, no. Maybe Mayuri, too, that I would actually like to see their past and see how they grew up. I mean, I really want to see Mayuri's past. I mean, who does not want to see how he became the way he was? But, yeah, Komamura's past, too, would be kind of interesting. And I don't really think we're going to really touch upon it much, because we see him younger in this chapter, but we don't even get to see his face. It's the Falcor dog reminiscing, and he's stating that he's actually very proud of Sajin now, to the point that he can finally call him Sajin. You know, before this, he was just calling him Spot, or Mr. Whiskers, or something. I don't know. Anyway, we also see that his heart is still lying in the sake cup, and it's kind of ambiguous exactly what the Falcor dog is going to do with it. So we get the title page of Ichigo and Renji inside of the coolest looking coffins I've ever seen. I'm guessing that's because of Halloween and everything. A little bit late on this, but whatever. All I know is when I get buried, I want to be buried in one of those, because they look really cool, like a futuristic, hip new variation on the coffin. Yeah, that seems pretty cool. So we turn the page, and before we get into the chapter, we have to go shopping! Yeah, apparently Shonen Jump is going to be releasing these postcard books of Bleach on December 4th. You know, the only thing I have to say about this is I kind of really wish I live in Japan, or in the area where they could mail me these, or I could read anything on this page, because some of these postcard books, especially the ones with Rukia, and I'm guessing that's Rangiku, although it might be Masaki, I don't know, I'm assuming it's just Rangiku. They look pretty cool. The one with Orihime looks pretty cool too, so, you know, those look pretty neat. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that in the US, but that's kind of the cool thing about in Japan. Over in Japan, they actually have, because manga is more mainstream over there, they have more contests and stuff related to that. Like, you ever like, watch some old TV shows or read comic books around here, and they have, like, the contests in the back, like, you can win a signed picture of, you know, this guy or this guy if you send in this many letters or box tops or something. Like, I don't even think they do that shit anymore. That's, like, from me just being lost in the 90s. So we open up the chapter with Bambi, seconds before she's about to get nuked by Tokujo Tengen Myo Dangaijo, and yes, I'm going to say it like that every time because it's really freaking cool, right before she's about to get attacked by this. And it was interesting because the way the attack was seen last chapter was in the middle of the sword swing there was a massive explosion, and most people were saying like, oh well, that was Bambi using her powers to kind of reject the swipe or like protect herself, because obviously I don't think Tokujo Tengen Myo Dangaijo's just a sword swing would erupt in the explosion. We'll see what happened was Bambietta actually did try to explode the sword in the middle of the swipe. However, it simply knocked it back and sent it right back into her before she had even had time to ignite, because as we stated previously, they don't exactly explode on impact. They take a little, like at least a second lag or so after they hit their target before they explode. So I'm assuming she saw the sword coming, sent the bombs out, and in that fraction of a second, you know, bombs before, like, probably even in the process of leaving her body, rebounded back into her body, and they still needed to explode, but there was no place for them to go except for inside her, and they blew their wad all over her insides, to pardon the crude vernacular. Yeah, so Bambi is down! And when I say down, I mean she gets freaking shot to the freaking Bondente ground, Mach 6, charred up and broken, freaking bolt standing, ripped out. You know, she is down, bitch. Joe Tengen-myo Dangai Joe lands on the ground and begins to fall to its knees after the attack and begins to dissipate in front of Komamura. As it turns out, being in this human metamorphosis state actually caused Komamura a great deal of physical pain, which also I think answers the question from the last chapter that I posed. Is he invincible or is he invulnerable? Because there is a fucking difference. Invincible is simply, I can't die. You can still feel pain, you can still get cut up, you can still bleed, you just can't die. Ever see Torchwood Miracle Day? Yeah, you need to go see Torchwood Miracle Day. But the other thing, invulnerable, is the thing where, you know, you get shot in the face by like a high caliber gun and you're just like, boing, okay, yeah, I'm good, dude, I'm fine. You know, so that's major difference there. And apparently, as stated now, even though Komamura cannot be killed, he can still experience great pain from being in this form. Even probably more of a question exactly why he didn't try to finish off Bambietta as fast as he possibly could, because he was in intense pain here. But anyway, he falls to the ground and he pleads that the transformation just lasts a little bit longer, because he has to make it to the castle, and he has to defeat Yuha Buck. Let it go. Wait, what the hell was that? Let it go, Sajin. Oh my god, is this God? God, are you angry at me? I'm sorry, is that because I looked at that cat the wrong way? I'm sorry, God, I won't do it ever again. Finally come to that realization. Alright, so I'm guessing this is either the Falcor dog telepathically communicating with him, or either it's just his subconscious speaking with him. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to go with the Falcor dog because we don't really know a lot about their species yet. They might be capable of these telepathic communication skill for all I know. I don't know. But it brings up a question here that you have to stop right now, because this is what you're doing right now is none other than vengeance. The very thing that Komamura was always preaching to Tozen during the Fake Karakura arc, that he is just going to lead him to ruin if he keeps following vengeance, because of course Tozen's best friend, who I don't think we've still yet to see in the entire series, and we never will, or at least see her face anyway. Anyway, so she gets killed, and Tozen basically goes down this path of vengeance, which eventually led him to Aizen, eventually led him to become a Hollow, and just warp his entire morals and ethics to the point where he wasn't even really the same person. And the whole line of dialogue Koma always had for Tozen was, you need to give up your vengeance, you need to move on from it, because it'll just lead you to the path of ruin. Well, after Yamamoto died, pretty much Komamura is following down that same line of the same path that Tozen did. Falcor Dog is actually saying it's not really much of a bad thing. It's actually more of a thing akin to your nature. You are a beast. You're just raw emotion and power, so fighting on the act of vengeance is something that's it's just your nature, so embrace it rather than reject it. And it's here that we finally get a great symbol. It's funny how, with Koma, the last couple chapters, the symbolism has been extremely literal. It's like, I need to tear out my heart to gain this intense power. He doesn't mean talking about his resolve. He doesn't mean talking about his spirit. He means literally ripping out his physical beating heart. And here it's, if you embrace your vengeance, if you embrace your revenge, you will become a beast itself. And it's not talking about like, oh, I'll just become a warped mentality like a beast. Like, no, seriously, you are going to turn back into a beast. And his arm begins to transform back into the dog's claw as it did before. And, you know, I feel kind of disappointed by this. I mean, is anyone else kind of disappointed? I mean, I was sure he wasn't going to last in this form forever, and I even brought up in the last chapter, like, he's probably going to turn back into a wolf eventually, so called it, whatever. But, you know, I thought he was going to last longer than this. I did, like, 3 chapters, dude? Really? That's it? That's all we get? I don't know, Koobs. I don't know. You could have had him a little bit more after this. Like, and then the whole thing about the human metamorphosis technique damaging him kind of just came out of left field, really. I mean, the last 2 chapters, it wasn't even mentioned. Hell, in the last 2 chapters, the way Koma was speaking, it's like he's freaking immortal. And here he's like, okay, whoa, I am so glad she freaking bought that I was immortal. Oh, boy. Oh, I think I'm dead. You know, I think it was like all an act. In that case, Koma, you're a pretty good actor. You give Light Yagami a run for his money, but really, man, you should have lasted a little bit longer than this. That's all I'm saying. So while he's transforming back into a beast, he collapses on the ground and he questions whether this is his penance or if this is something he's being punished for. And meanwhile, on the same time, and on the flip side of that coin, we get the Falcor Dog stating that this is really what Sajin really is, because their entire species, their dog species, has always been fueled by vengeance, and it's just kind of their natural thing, as I mentioned earlier. Even the Falcor Dog himself references that not enough time has passed, and the reason he still lives to this day is for the vengeance he holds against the Rancor. The Rancor. Wasn't that thing that Luke fought against in the Jabba the Hutt's pit in Return of the Jedi? You know, that thing with he goes down and he's just like, ah! You know, that thing? In which case, I mean, pretty cool, but just kind of came out of nowhere. Oh my god, I just thought of something. Zanpakuto lightsaber. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Look it up. It probably already has happened. You know, type in Star Wars Bleach lightsaber. I'm sure some shit's gonna come up. Alright, so finally the Falcor dog admits that he's very grateful for Sajin and he granted him some respite. And I guess it's I can't really tell. Maybe the Japanese characters were more clear on this, but to me it looks like right about here. I mean, his tongue comes out and we don't really see what he's doing, but to me, it seems very clear that he's eating Sajin's heart. Or it has to be that, because I don't really see anything else. Like, his tongue's out, and he looks like he's chewing on something. I don't really know what that sound effect is there with the Japanese characters, but if it's like chew, 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 you know what's going to happen now. So finally, we cut back over to Sajin, who collapses on the ground completely. Oh my god, how much did I have to drink last night? We discover, big shocker for me anyway, I mean, throughout this entire chapter, I just assumed he was transforming back into, you know, his anthropomorphic wolf form that he was in before. But no, he transformed into an actual full-fledged dog, or wolf, or whatever you want to call it, but certainly not anything that can pick up a sword. He's certainly not the same way he was before, and according to the Falcor dog's words, he might not even be able to speak anymore, because he said speechless creature. So, I mean, I don't know really what that means, because the Falcor dog was able to talk. Oh, well, wait, no, maybe the Falcor dog was the Falcor dog communicating telepathically with Koma that entire time? That could be a thing. I mean, I guess, I mean, we don't, it's manga, so you can't really tell if their mouths are open half the time, so, yeah, I mean, that might be a thing there. I mean, maybe they can only communicate through telepathic communication, but regardless of the fact of his physical form, he still retains his normal mind. He's still sitting on the ground and thinking that, if this is the reason he's being, punished for everything, because he gave the advice to Tozen to not pursue vengeance, and he ended up doing himself kind of like a hypocrite move, so he's wondering if that's the reason, and right about when he's questioning this, Tensuzaimon Iba, his lieutenant, shows up on the scene. Oh my Rio. He is so adorable! I'm gonna bring him back to the barracks and I'm gonna call him Mr. Fuzzy Ears. How are you, Mr. Fuzzy Ears? Oh my god, I love you so much, you're so adorable. Okay, no, so that's not what happens. Iba instead grabs his captain, puts it over his shoulder, and begins walking with him towards Yuha Box Palace instead. Come on, you know, you did nothing wrong here. We're gonna go kick that Yuha Box ass right now, man. So, you know, we don't exactly see what happens after this, like they cut away from, you know, Iba and Koma, but I have to wonder if they actually do manage to get to the Von Wright Palace and they walk in, you know, what would they, I wonder what Yuha's reaction to that would be, and, you know, just be like, Iba comes charging and he's just like, Yuha Bach, get your ass out here, your reckoning is at hand, the finest warriors that the Soul Society have to offer, here before you to wage the ultimate of battles. And it's just a guy with a mustache and a little puppy. And Yuha Bach walks out and just, the fuck is this? Boom, boom, you're dead, you know, and just walks back to the throne room. So, if they, I don't think they're going to manage to get there. They're definitely going to be intercepted beforehand, and I'm sure Yuha Bach just doesn't have, like, I'm sure he's not the only one in the palace. I'm sure he has some other people standing guard, so, even if they do manage to get there, though, I don't see that happening at all, so, I'm not sure where this is going to go. But anyway, we cut back over to Bambi. How much did I have to drink last night? She's speaking about how it's so terrible that she lost to a Shinigami. I can't believe how many times I've heard it in that series, either from Espada, Quincy, Hollow, you know, it's the same kind of line of dialogue that repeats over and over again. But anyway, she's sitting there charred and broken. She can barely freaking stand up, probably suffers extreme physical injuries. Her Volt standing is gone, as I said, so, which actually, I guess that kind of is nice that we know that the Volt standing, I guess, can be defeated either if the Quincy is weakened to the point, I guess, and since it's like the Bankai, it makes sense. If the user gets weakened to the point where they can't maintain the power, it'll dissipate. But as she's cursing the Komamura for having defeated her, her clique of high school girls finally show up on the scene, wherever they've been this entire time. And they look down at her, and they don't really seem bent on helping her, though. We don't really see what happens. Giselle simply states that it's not as lively when Bambietta's not around, and then all after that, we just get Bambietta's screams in agony, asking Giselle not to do what she's going to do. And then we cut away from her, so I have no idea what's going to happen. Now, I have my opinion on this, and we don't really know much about these characters yet, but it was clearly stated last time whenever Candace activated her, or Sternritter T, the one with the tits, the one activated her Volt standing, she did it on reflex. She didn't do it because she wanted to. So I'm going to say maybe it's because Bambietta has some connection beyond just being friends with these four, and maybe they have some power where they can, like, absorb into each other. That sounded really sexual, but something maybe along the lines like that, because, I mean, they're clearly allies, because the way Bambietta talks about them, so they're clearly allies, but in this panel, they're clearly not allies, or at least they know about something that they can do that terrifies each other. So basically, at the end of the day, it's pretty much just like girls in high school. But I mean, I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I really have no idea. So I hope they elaborate on that a little bit, exactly what their relationship is, what Gazelle was going to do to Bambietta, because, you know, I really got nothing beyond this. I'm actually at a loss here. Alright, so last scene of the chapter, we cut to the night sky over the Vandente, where two figures are falling from the sky. One of them, Renji, and the other one, Rukia headed down, stating that they're almost there, and they need to hurry to the Soul Society, or Vandente, or whatever. In this panel, Rukia, they're both wearing really cool cloaks, the kind of the same model after Ichigo, which I'm assuming were also made by Shutara, and Rukia, we don't get to see Renji up close, but Rukia particularly has one eye that's covered over, so does this mean that she doesn't have an eye anymore? Honestly, I don't see any other reason why that would be like that. I mean, I know costumes in manga are kind of weird, but if you have the option, like, okay, Shutara gives you a cloak, and you're like, okay, how do you want this? And Rukia is just like, well, make sure to cover over one of my eyes, because that'll make me more badass by an order of magnitude. And, you know, good, she does look awesome by an order of magnitude. I'm probably going to beak her my custom thumb for this review, but aside from that fact, it's just like, why else would she have that there? You know, it's not really going to be much of a battle advantage. So I'm going to probably go out and say Rukia might have lost her eye. I mean, I don't see her, like, other than that, or she revealed a Sharingan, but that's also very doubtful. I don't think she gained some new power in her eye or something, so she probably lost it. But regardless of that fact, I mean, whatever training she did with Ichibei, or you know, the eyeball monk, the bald Mr. T, whatever, you know, they did with him, maybe that resulted in something like that. We don't get to really see Renji up close either, so maybe Renji has some kind of injury like that as well. But anyway, so next chapter, I'm assuming that Renji and Rukia are going to land on the scene. I'm not really sure exactly what powers they're going to represent, and even if they do show up next chapter, we're not going to see every power that they've gained. But, you know, we haven't really even seen Renji's Bankai since the time skip. So we had, you know, the time skip with the Volpering arc where his Bankai has increased in several power. Kubo even stated it did. And now we have another power boost from the Soul Palace. So Renji's Bankai is probably going to look very different and modified from then. So I hope you guys watch it. Really, aside from that, very short chapter, very brief, and kind of just more questions than anything. You know, like Komamura transforming into an actual dog, that was weird. You know, Rukia with the eye, and with Bambietta and her clique of high school friends, also very weird. Also, the chapter title alone, that was also kind of weird. So, yeah, just weird in general. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Tekking101 signing out. Don't know. Whatever Bambietta's going to happen to her, I really just hope it's rated PG. Okay, that's a lie. Yeah.